We're reading every Spider-Man ever, and this is Amazing Spider-Man issue 46. Our hero, with his arm still in a sling, is innocently swinging around the city when the wall that he's perched on starts vibrating and throws him off. Curious, Spidey sets up his camera and heads inside to find a brand new villain who calls himself the Shocker mid-bank robbery. The Shocker uses his vibration technology to effectively punch Spider-Man from across the room, and when Spidey tries to return the favour, he finds that the Shocker's suit also vibrates to soften our hero's blows. The Shocker is finally close enough to twin punch, and the resulting vibration energy knocks Spider-Man down, and the Shocker flees with his money. Peter pulls himself up from the rubble and licks his wounds, sad to have been defeated and wondering how he can ever win against the Shocker, even if he did have two arms working. At least he took some photographs of the fight. As he limps over to the Daily Bugle to sell these pictures, Harry Osborn drives up and offers a lift. He has an offer for Peter. His dad is paying for an apartment close to college and it has 2 bedrooms. Would Peter be up for being his roommate? Peter leaps at the chance, but has to check with Aunt May first. Reaching the Bugle, they leave each other, with Harry inviting Peter and MJ on a double date with him and Gwen. And that's what Peter is thinking about as he heads inside the Bugle, thinking about how he can't stop thinking about Gwen. And he doesn't notice Frederick Foswell, who is still deeply curious about how Peter Parker, of all people, gets photographs of Spider-Man. So Peter goes inside, sells his photographs of the Shocker, and comes outside, and he doesn't notice that Foswell is disguised as Patch and is tailing him. Meanwhile and elsewhere, the Shocker is counting his stolen money and recounting his backstory to himself, like villains are wont to do. He was just a lowly safecracker and was caught and sent to prison. He decided that he'd never be caught again, so he spent his time in prison working on a vibrating technology to open safes and a special padded suit to protect himself, and called himself the Shocker. All he has to do is press the buttons on his gauntlets and the vibration power is his to control. And elsewhere once more, Peter Parker is at Penn Station to pick up his Aunt May, who's returning from her holiday in Florida. She has something she would like to tell Peter, and Peter has something that he would like to tell her, and it turns out that those two things are very similar. You see, Aunt May tells Peter that Anna Watson has invited May to live with her, but she's worried about leaving poor Peter alone. And that's great news, as Peter explains about Harry's offer, and they agree that it's time for both of them to live somewhere new. Peter swaps May with MJ, leaving his aunt with Anna and driving MJ to the Silver Spoon to celebrate his new home. When they arrive, Peter spots a beautiful woman dancing and is shocked to discover that it's Gwen. Even MJ can't help but be impressed. At the cafe, Peter learns that Flash's farewell party is all set, and he tells Harry the good news about moving in, and then leaves to go pack. And by pack, I mean that he changes into Spider-Man in an alleyway. But as he goes to leave the alleyway, he spots Patch, secretly Foswell, and realizes that if Patch saw him going into the alley as Parker and leave as Spider-Man, that he'll know his secret identity. And that's exactly what Patch is thinking, that he's figured it out, that Parker is Spider-Man. At least he thinks that until he hears 2 voices in the alleyway arguing over money. It turns out that Spider-Man tells Peter Parker where he'll be, and they split the money 50-50. What he's actually hearing is a one-man play put on by Peter, pulling the mask up and down to change his voices. He then uses webbing and his costume to make it look like Spider-Man is swinging away while Peter stands in the alley. It's a performance that's convincing enough to fool Foswell. On a rooftop, after Foswell leaves, Spidey removes his sling. His arm isn't completely better, but he can't keep babying himself. He confronts the Shocker in a bank, and the Shocker is immediately on the offensive, sending Spidey tumbling from a balcony and needing a web cushion to save him. Spider-Man is able to grab the Shocker, but the villain soon vibrates himself free, and our hero resorts to dodging and swinging ineffective punches. But just as Shocker is about to hit Spidey with a double shock blast, Spider-Man webs up his hands. Specifically, he webs up his thumbs so that the Shocker is no longer able to press the buttons on his gauntlet. Spider-Man is able to then knock Shocker unconscious, remove those very gauntlets, and leave the Shocker for the police to find. The next day is moving day and Peter is excited. Aunt May on the other hand is crying, and she makes Peter promise to call and to visit and to take care of himself. She reminds Peter why he should never let her know that he's Spider-Man. Peter arrives at his brand new apartment just as Harry is leaving. Instead of unpacking, Peter stands sad and alone and wonders whether becoming Spider-Man has made him incapable of happiness. Thanks for watching, subscribe to be there for the next issue, and while we wait for that, here's a fun fact about this one. Despite moving in with Anna and being so poor that several plot points are based on them not having money, Aunt May doesn't sell her house, and it becomes an important plot point in future issues.